All right, we're back to the sewing machine, and it doesn't matter which side of the seam that you start on to top stitch, but you want to go on the very, line the seam up with the very inside of the presser foot. It is not super important that you back stitch this, you just get to sew down it. Remember, if your thread is not the same color as your fabric, if you sew crooked, it's going to show up. So we are just going to sew down this seam. And again, I have made sure that everything is laying flat. I actually can feel that seam allowance that's on the inside. And that seam is right on the inside of my presser foot, just like I had said. I want this to be a nice straight seam. I don't want anybody to see that I sewed crooked, because I definitely know how to not do that. Doesn't mean I don't make mistakes, because I promise that I do. And honestly, going slow on this is important. You are going to kind of keep pushing this fabric out in a way, because there is that curve, and even though we're just sewing a straight seam, there is definitely some play in our fabric because of that, of how it was cut. You can see I'm getting close to the end right here. And as I get to the end, instead of just sewing off of it and then turning around and coming back up, I actually just sew across, turn the corner, sew across, and sew back up. I'm not sure if that's actually the proper way to do it, but I've been doing it for a long time that way and have not run into a lot of problems. So I'm just gonna keep doing it that way. So I needles down and I just turned. Basically, it's like 2 stitches across, one to the middle and one out. Needle is down and I turn all of my fabric again. So now the legs are pointing away from me, and I'm gonna sew back to the waistband. And again, make sure I don't have anything extra hanging out. And I'm just gonna sew right up that same exact seam. I'm lining it up the same as I did before. I just happen to be going the other direction this time. And I'm just gonna continue right on up. If you get too close and you sew in that seam, it could actually cause it to separate. So make sure that you just sew beside it the whole way up. And again, I'm not gonna back stitch because I'm gonna sew both the crotch seam and the waistband into this still. So that top stitching part is not quite as important. The back stitching, what did I just say? The top stitching makes it lay flat. All right. I've now reached the end of this. Needle is up so I can take it out, but I can still show you without taking this out what that looks like. It's kind of hard for you to see because my thread does match.